right? The IBC, NFPA 72, and the MRC, these are the ones that apply to you guys. Okay, the IBC is International Building Code. Doesn't really pertain to anything that you guys can go over, but if you start networking with contractors and stuff like this is the information you're going to want to know. All right. NFPA 72, that's our fire code. And the MRC, that's the Michigan Resident Code. All right. That's going to be what tells customers where smoke alarms go in their home. Okay. So the IBC sets the code, right? Then you got the NFPA, and then you got the MRC. All right. We're going to go over the smoke detectors. We're going to go over the two prevalent types of smoke detectors. All right. We're going to go over fire extinguishers. We're going to go over fire departments. And we're going to go over the Michigan Fire Inspector Society and how this will help you guys. All right. All right. So code, the IBC, all right, they design codes for building and construction. So anytime you have a contractor, this is the code they're following. All right. So the IBC tells you when to do it. All right. And the NFPA tells you how to do it. So all the NFPA is telling you is how their smoke alarms are going to be installed, how they're going to be how they're going to be tested, how they're going to be maintenance, right? And then you have the MRC, Michigan's adoption of the IBC. So each state has its own authority to either increase code, they can't go below code. So whatever the IBC sets is a standard, but each state has the ability to increase it. All right. So some states will have more strict fire codes than others, right? So there's some states like Vermont's one of them, Massachusetts, I believe the other. In their actual state code, they ban ionization alarms. So you can't actually have ionization alarms in those states.
States?
Vermont and I believe Massachusetts was the other one. Now again, right? So when we go over this advanced training, this, like I said, this is to fill your brains, give you guys tools in your toolbox, but this is not stuff that you need to talk about with customers, right? Because if I'm going to visit you, Terry, and I start telling you about shit in Vermont, does that matter to you? No, right? But it gives you guys that tool and that foundation. All right. How does the NFPA apply to us, right? So the NFPA applies to us because it's the installation of smoke alarms. All right. So in every manual, everything like that, where it tells you how to install them, that comes from the NFPA. All right. The NFPA is comprised of fire marshals, fire inspectors. We actually had one at the convention this year. He's the Louisiana State Fire Marshal. He actually just got promoted to a board member for the NFPA. So he came and spoke to us at the convention and told us about what we do, right? The MRC, how does it apply to us? It's just code enforcement where smoke alarms go. All right. So if the MRC tells you this is where smoke alarms go, all right. And I'm going to show you how we use this as a tie down as well in some people and families' homes if they're not following it. All right. All right. So here we go. All right. Oh. Sorry, I don't remember what page it was. All right. So here is section R 314 for smoke alarms of the Michigan State Residential Code. All right. I'll get you guys this stuff. All right. All right. Smoke alarms shall be listed in accordance with UL 217. All right. So what that means is if a smoke alarm isn't listed with UL, it can't legally be in that home. Are there smoke alarms out there that aren't UL listed? There sure are. Right. UL listed means it goes through a laboratory, it goes through inspection, it goes through testing by underwriters laboratories, and they have to approve it. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So this right here, right, where it says for alterations, repairs, or additions requiring a permit are required. So let's say you have a home from 1950. Yeah, Jake, can you turn that on, please? When you have homes, Grosse Point's one where there's a lot of older homes. Okay, if someone was to do it now, they don't have to wire in their alarms; they're grandfathered in, right? They don't have to do that. But now, if they had an addition, they're required now to go put in hardwired alarms for everything. And if they don't, they're not up to code, right? And these old style homes are the easiest ones to put our network in, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. Just remind me in case I forget. All right. All right, where they should be installed in each sleeping room. Okay, so now think about the homes you guys have already gone into. This is code. All right, code requires one in each sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area in the immediate vicinity of bedrooms, on each story, including basements. But then it tells you, right, not attics or crawl spaces. All right. Right. So now think about the homes that you've already gone into. Did those locations always have a smoke alarm? Most don't. Okay, so they're not even up to code right now. Okay. Um, just to build. 19 November 6th, 1974. And then everything new construction as of the 2016. Everything new construction as of 2016 has to have hardwired in alarms. All right. So if they're a home and they're gonna because they don't get passed unless they do, then they have to have the wired in alarms. All right. So when you see people and they're building a home or they're doing this, we have smoke alarms that will allow you. Um, oh, make sure. Okay, we have smoke alarm. Our smoke alarms can be hardwired in. So when people are building brand new homes, we do have the capability of the hardwired. Everything else will be wireless because it can be. It's not required by code to be in there, right? We just exceed code. All right. Um, all right, and this is another one right here. This is a big one. Okay. This is something that I just saw in a lease agreement for a townhouse the other day when I was reading it for a friend. All right, the occupant of rental dwelling unit shall be responsible for the periodic testing and periodic cleaning of the installed equipment in the rental unit. All right. If the system fails, breaks, or is out of service, it needs to be replaced and functional within 30 days. It's on you. It's not on your landlord. So if you have an apartment fire, you have a condominium fire, you have any kind of fire, and you neglected your fire alarms, it's on you. Your landlord isn't responsible, right? And that's how they get away with that because it's in all their lease agreements, right? The landlord is required to put them in there, but it's on the occupant to notify the landlord if there's an issue or if it needs to be fixed. And if the occupant doesn't and there's an issue, and then guess what happens with insurance companies when they come in and they see that you neglected your stuff? Do you think you're getting the money you should be getting? Not always, right? Um, yep, for the equipment requirements. Yep.
And this is the MCR?
MRC. All right. And it says 2015 MRC because that's the newest edition of it. There hasn't been an upgraded edition.
The
All right.
2015?
Yep. All right, interconnection, where more than one smoke alarm is required to be installed within an individual dwelling unit. All right, the alarm devices shall be connected in a manner that the actual one alarm will activate all the alarms in the unit. Physical connection of smoke alarms shall not be required where listed wireless alarms. All right, so there we go. We beat the code with not having to worry about wiring and alarms. Okay. Now, when you're a rough estimate of how much it would cost for an electrician to go into someone's home and wire in alarms would be anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. 3 to 4K. Right? It just depends on how many smoke detectors and how big the home is, right? So it could be more. But if you're seeing these homes and they don't have wired in alarms, it's going to cost them at least $4,000 to an electrician come in there and bring it up to code. And then they still got to pay for the smoke alarms and all that, right? Right. Um, that's my fire alarm systems, not really pertain to us. All right, so this requires one that carbon monoxide detectors are required by code for a dwelling unit that has a fuel fire, so anyone that runs gas or has an attached garage. They're required by code if they have an attached garage or if they run gas. Gas appliances, if they have gas appliances, they're required to have a carbon monoxide detector.
I haven't seen anyone like independent carbon dioxide, everyone's seen them to like. See all. How does that so count for code that it's super fun? Even though it's not gonna work? See what?
Sure does. Sure does. All right. All right, and I can share this link with you guys if you guys want to look into it more. But again, so this isn't stuff that you need to go and you talk to customers about. This is to build your expertise and understanding of what you're actually doing. Right. Right. Because you might run into a contractor or someone who's educated on it, and this will come in handy for you, right? When you can refer to code. Now, are you always going to need it? No. The average person you go see who has nothing to do with contracting or code, don't bring it up. It doesn't matter. Okay. All right. So that's the Michigan.
Are you gonna share this on the group chat?
Yeah.
The link?
And I'm recording all this. I'll upload these videos to our YouTube channel too.
Okay, awesome.
All right. All right. All right. Smoke detectors, ionization alarms. Okay, we already know everything about ionization alarms. Okay, we don't need to discuss it more. 55% failure rate and in a smoldering fire. Okay. Photoelectric's been tested and proven to have 100% success rate in a smoldering fire, but they do have a slower response in flaming fires versus ionization technology. Okay, so a flaming fire, that's what you saw with that light smoke, where it creates those light smoke particles, right? Where it's almost an invisible smoke. All right, that's where ionization alarms went off quicker than photoelectric. All right, but photoelectrics still go off. Okay. Now, how do you combat this, right? So, all right, 55% of fire failure rate in a smoldering fire, that does itself. We don't need to combat the ionization detector, right? Now, when you go into people's homes who have photoelectric, okay, photoelectric manuals will typically tell you to put an ionization detector right next to it for best coverage. All right. NFPA and the United States Fire Association or administration also tell you to have a photoelectric and an ionization alarm. So if the NFPA, it's recommended by the NFPA and the United States Fire Administration to have both types of smoke alarms in your home, right? What do you think people should be doing? Putting both. Now, how do ours beat that, right? So our most photoelectric are single optic photoelectric detectors. Ours are dual optic, all right? Not only that, that little heat resistor that you see on the front, that's designed for those fast flaming fires. All right, when that temperature reaches 117 degrees, if the smoke isn't thick enough, it's going to melt that and it's going to go off. All right, so that's how ours has the capability. And if you guys have, I know some people have set them off, right? Ours will go off to shower steam and cooking, right? Just like ionization ones do. Do they false alarm as bad? No, they do not. All right. So when you guys are in people's homes and if they have a photoelectric, ask them if they have their manual, right? And I can find a manual. I have one saved somewhere where in the photoelectric alarm, it tells you for best coverage to have an ionization alarm next to it. Who the fuck wants to put 2 smoke alarms on their ceiling? Nobody, right? So that's how you can combat photoelectric.
The photoelectric. Cleaned or changed out as often as the other items. Well, and since they don't have, so tap, right? So how are you gonna? There.
Vacuum.
So it still goes over the same process.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You can kill a photoelectric alarm the exact same way. You just got to be a little more cognizant on it because photoelectric are better, right? But a lot of them are single optic and require an ionization alarm next to it for best coverage. And it's recommended by the NFPA and the USFA that it does, right? And I got that article saved somewhere that I'll share with you guys as well, where it literally states in there because you can't predict what kind of fire you're going to have. Right, so if you can't predict what kind of fire you have, what kind of smoke alarm are you supposed to have, right? So they tell you to have both. Ours beats that. Okay,
Could predict the fire that you're gonna have.
there you go. All right. All right. Now, fire extinguishers. Okay, so this is the build some knowledge of fire extinguishers. All right. Fire extinguishers are probably our most popular hero gift, right? That people want. All right. So the fire extinguisher, okay, they have a 12-year expiration. All right. The code's gonna tell you 10 to 12, right? I'm going with 12 because after 12 years, per code, all steel or aluminum extinguishers need to be hydrostatic tested. Okay, so that's not really gonna pertain to you or matter to you guys. All right. But it's to give you some knowledge on the extinguishers, right? So if a customer has an extinguisher that's been in their home for 20 years, it's no good. Don't tell them it's good, right? Tell them we have a way that we can help you guys out, okay? Steel. Now, when it comes to other detectors, how many of you guys have seen or extinguishers? How many of you guys have seen an extinguisher that has plastic fittings, the black plastic? Okay, almost every home. Those are constantly on recall. All right, and they have had a huge issues with them failing because the plastic will actually explode when you go to pressurize them. All right, not only that, the pressure will start leaking out of that plastic over time. So loss of pressure, cap exploding, right? So we want to make sure that they always have the steel fittings, all right? Now for your types of fire extinguisher, and that's NFPA 13. So if you guys want to know what NFPA is for extinguishers, it's 13. All right. So now your types, right? We got type A, type B, type C, type D, type K. All right. Our extinguishers that we give out are ABC. Okay, they're 2.5 pound ABC extinguishers, which means they're going to cover everything listed on there that you see. All right. Any questions on that? All right. Where do we want to put fire extinguishers? Bedrooms, rooms that are most occupied, bedrooms, kitchens, garages, basements, near the furnace rooms, right? So when people say they only have one extinguisher and then we talk to them about putting it in there, you guys can sell extinguishers. You guys can easily upsell them, right? But also utilize it as a tool for prospecting. We'll go over that in a little bit, right? Each home should probably have anywhere from 3 to 4 extinguishers in their home, right? Just because they have a fire blanket in their kitchen, they should probably also still have an extinguisher in their kitchen too, okay?
Question, okay. I was always told that it was good for kitchen fires, like, as it says grease, oil, and so on. What's the difference? Hey,
Commercial.
it's for commercial kitchens.
So whenever you go, so the next time you guys go to a restaurant, or if you can see like a grill or anything like that,
Above it.
yeah, you'll see like little lines coming out from above it, or you'll see huge extinguishers. That's K. Right? It's designed for a commercial application. Right. So right here, right, like you'll see B will cover grease. Okay. But if you have something in a large amount, you're gonna want a class K. Right. All right.
So our
ABC. Yep. Yep. We'll go over the prospecting in a little bit. Yeah, you're good. All right. Fire departments. All right. Something to think about if you guys don't already know. How close is your nearest fire department to your home? Do you know? No idea?
2 miles.
Not sure? Not sure?
they have like their own thing.
All right. So there you go, right? So we had 3 people in this room already not know how close their fire departments are. And most people don't typically think about it, right? You might just know about it because you drive by and you see it and it's just something you remember. But if you're not really thinking about it, Neither are families, right? So ask them these questions. Okay, so if your fire department's 12, and a lot of, all right, so here we go. There's 972 registered fire departments in the state of Michigan, and 63% are volunteer departments. All right, Jay, are you on here?
He's
No,
muted.
I know he's in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm on.
Hey, what was your like average response time up in your volunteer department?
It's something like 30. Well, they tell us to tell people it's anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. More or less, it's on the 30-minute side because everything is so far out. We don't have hydrants like everybody else does. So the first truck you got to take is water. Then you got to wait for the source to pump the water. We're every bit of 30 minutes out. And obviously, everybody knows the staffing issue. So in training, though, they'll tell you 15 to 25 or 15 to 30 minutes response time.
Which volunteer department was this again?
Station 33 Bel Air District Fire Department.
Hey, Bel Air's a pretty ritzy community too, isn't it?
Yep.
All right. So you got multi-million-dollar homes and the fire department's response time is 15 to 30 minutes. What do you think is going to happen to those homes?
Fully engulfed home by the time we get there.
Right.
More times than not, and this is so sad to have to say, more times than not, we basically show up to make sure that the occupants are alive. And then we watch a fire and sit by like it's a big old bonfire. Don't get me wrong, there's times where we get there and we save the whole home. I've had a lot of those situations, but being a volunteer fire department, and that's what I tell a lot of customers is that, you got to think about response time. Especially anywhere with how many did you say that there were in the state of Michigan volunteer departments?
63% of 972.
And think about how incredible that actually is. That's most of Michigan. So yeah, we're trained to tell people or to practice a 20-minute arrival time. Half the time, I mean, the other thing is you think about half the time when I get a call, I'm usually either eating or in the shower or in the middle of something that I have to stop doing, go respond to the department, get a truck, and then go out. So
very good. Okay. So there, you guys just had out of the words of a volunteer firefighter, right? What the response times are like. All right. So career departments are required by NFPA 1710, and NFPA 1710 has a super long title. But it's just basically the response times in order to get water application onto a fire emergency scene. Okay. They have an 80-second turnout time. Okay. So what this means is they have 80 seconds from the time the call comes in to get dressed, get bunked out, get into their gear, and get the trucks rolling. All right. They have a 480-second travel time. All right. All right. And the benchmark for full deployment on an initial fire alarm assignment is 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So these are your career departments. So Detroit, okay, Auburn Hills, Lake Orion's career department. All right, Ann Arbor. All right, they have 9 minutes and 20 seconds to get to your home. All right. From the time the call comes in.
If it's 25 minutes before I even know I have a problem.
All right. So that's the thing for you guys to start wrapping your minds around too, right? So when you guys are running your appointments, all right, look up how far away their home is from the fire department. Or that's the even better part is take the time to do that in the middle of the third misconception where you're going over their prevention plan. Right? Ask them the question. Okay, your guys' job when you're there isn't to sell anything. Your job is to make sure they're fully prepared. Right. And them having an understanding of where their fire department's at is going to help them make sure they're fully prepared. All right. Not only that, when they see that you're taking the time to do all this stuff, what do you think is going to increase the likelihood of you selling? It's going to go up. Okay. And I know this because that's what I did. All right. When I did my appointments, it was strictly focused on making sure they were fully prepared in every way possible. I was bringing up this information. Right. And there was very, very, very few times where when we go over closing objections and stuff that I ran into those, right? because they know that you're there for a reason. And we'll go into tie downs and how this stuff can tie it down, right? So if it takes 9 minutes and 20 seconds, if a fire department's allowed 9 minutes and 20 seconds, right, what do you think their chances are of saving you if you're in your home? It's a pretty low, right? It's slim. Okay. So don't you want to know, don't you want to have the most amount of time possible to get out of your home? All right. What's going to give them the most amount of time? Our network. Okay. So those are how you incorporate those kind of tie downs into it, right? All right. How do we help fire departments? All right. So one of the big things that Chris Roberts and Carmen Glenn took away from when they're at the National Fire Chiefs Association meeting was that they're now switching gears, which this has been going on for years now. Instead of training, they're still going to train on how to extinguish the fire and how to do the rescues and stuff like that. But now they're going towards a fire prevention mindset. All right. How can we better educate the community? How can we better make it easier and eliminate fires? Well, it's prevention. It's always been prevention, right? Just a lot of time or money is poured into prevention, and that's why you don't see fire prevention departments out there, right? There's very few departments in the state of Michigan that have an actual fire prevention team, and if they do, it's comprised of 1 or 2 people. How can 1 or 2 people educate a community of 1 million people? Right, Detroit, right? Oakland County's got 1 million people in it. All right, Lake Orion has over 40,000 people, and it's got 2 fire marshals or 2 fire inspectors. How are 2 fire inspectors gonna go help 40,000 people? Right? They might be able to do the school things or the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, stuff like that, and have those conversations. That's what we're here for. Okay, the fire departments know we're here. They love what we do, right? But that's what we're here for. We're here to help them. Okay. Meeting spots and escape plans. Okay. The leading cause of firefighters every year is heart attack. All right. It's not getting hurt by or getting killed by something happening in the fire. It's not by getting trapped in fires. It's having a heart attack while on the scene. All right. So how do meeting spots and escape plans help them? Very easy. The fire department shows up and they know everyone's out of the home. They're still going to go in and do a primary search, right? Still do what they need to do. But that heart rate is going to be way down versus way up when you show up and you have no idea if everyone's out, right? Or if you show up and, mom and dad are sitting outside at the mailbox where we teach them to be, and little Becky's inside still, right? So that's how we help with that, and teaching families their escape plans so they're familiar with it and they understand it, because most families and most people are ignorant when it comes to fire prevention, right? Or neglectful. I wouldn't say ignorant; they're neglectful. They don't think about it, right? People locator stickers, all right? These allow faster rescue operations. There's some fire departments that call it attacking from the yard. All right, where that means they're going to break windows and they're going to put out the fire from outside and do whatever they can to not to go inside. Okay. Homes are burning quick. Fire departments are well aware of it, right? So if they can do whatever they can to protect their guys, because firefighter safety is a priority, right? And that comes to that risk assessment, right? If there's a person inside, but there's not a very likelihood of getting them, they're not going inside to get them, right? The senior fire chief on scene has to take care of his guys. Okay, so that's where risk management, risk assessment, all that stuff came in. All right, and then how does our network help them? Okay, 2 biggest ways our network helps them is the bed shaker, all right, and the app. All right, so the bed shaker, what happens when you press the button on the bed shaker? All right, so it shuts everything down except for where the source is at. All right, so now when that fire department walks in or they're going in, you say, hey, wherever you guys hear that smoke alarm, that's where the problem's at. All right, if they can hear the smoke alarm, right? Because fires are loud. Okay. But not only that, the app. Okay. The first notification you get is gonna tell you exactly where the fire started. Okay, and then it's gonna tell you the conjoining rooms, right, as it spreads. So it's gonna give the fire department an idea. Not only that, you pull it up, you can show how warm it is in there. Right? You can show the temperature. Right? There's a big difference of going in a room that's 350 degrees versus going in a room that's 700, 800, 900 degrees, right? Huge difference. Okay. Right. So that's how our network helps people. And that's the stuff to start thinking about and understanding how our network actually helps the fire department too. Right. And that's why we have such a high success rate when it comes to, you know, protecting firefighters with our network. Right. Because they understand what the app is and they understand how good it is. Right. All right. All right. So the Michigan Fire Inspector Society. Hey guys, if this goes off, because I only have the 45-minute thing, it looks like less than a minute. I'll just reopen it right away. So Jay, Bobby, Corey, just so you guys know. All right. So the Michigan Fire Inspector Society.
Cool, thanks.
This is a premier code organization in the state of Michigan. All right. Over 650 members. All right. We represent the wide interest of Michigan's fire inspectors. All right. So this organization is the one who does the training, the education seminars, all that for fire chiefs, fire inspectors, fire marshals. Okay. All right. Our office is a member of this organization. We support this organization. We're members of it. Okay. This isn't something that you guys need to, you guys don't need to brag about it or tell people about it, right? But it's just so you guys understand. All right.